honor and glory to Yahweh, Bahashima Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that go out there and labor on the highways and byways, making their body living sacrifice. In the rain, the tumults, the demons, the uprises, the uproars, they're out there standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty brothers that are not out there as of yet, right? But they're building themselves up. You understand? Being on fire for the Lord, reading, praying, fasting, being diligent, right? Doing everything they could do to put themselves in a position to go out there to shake the hand, to wake up the hopeful elect. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf in this thing that actually are reverencing their husbands in the last days, being teachers of good things to the children at home, being quiet, shamefaced, submissive, loving, steadfast, cooking, sewing, cleaning, doing all of the righteous acts of our foremothers, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. Another strong shalom to all of the mighty Akwaf that are not married as of yet, but doing everything they could do to magnify the name of the Lord in the ministry, cooking, sewing, cleaning, taking care of the children, you know, understand, magnifying the name of the Lord, right? Another strong shalom to all of the mighty children in this thing, man, right? That are abstaining from all lusts and concupiscence and peer pressure, standing 10 toes down for the name of the Lord. And last but not least, another strong shalom to the whole entire nation that is keeping the commandments, actually in this truth, and fighting to endure in this thing, man. Now, this is going to be a quick video upon world news. Because if you're not watching, then these things are going to come on you like a thief in the night. You don't want to be in the comfort of your house, you understand, and destroyed. You understand? Because you wasn't watching. You wasn't diligent. You wasn't studious. You wasn't checking world news. You wasn't on the apps. You wasn't checking out BBC. You wasn't checking out end time headlines. You understand? You wasn't checking out all these whistleblowers and these men that the Most High has put in their spirit to be able to tell you what's going on in the last days. Right? So real fast, right? You got literally Syria is coming out. The Syrian president, Bashar al-Assad, is demanding that all U.S. troops leave Syria. So, I mean, it's getting to the point where everybody is starting to hate the U.S. They're telling the U.S. to get lost, man. The U.S. invades lands. They break treaties. They bomb nations. They do everything. Let me get that in the book, right? If it be the Most High's will, this will be a short video. But nevertheless, everything's of the Most High, right? Let me get this quick precept through the spirit. Because the so-called white man is known for invading lands, man. And they want him out of there, right? This is the book of Habakkuk, chapter 2 and verse 4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not aright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth, right, by wine. So the so-called white man, he transgresses by wine. He goes off, man, right? He is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. So when you ask yourself about America, America's all the way in Taiwan. America's all the way in Ukraine. America's all the way in Syria. America's all the way in damn Iran and Afghanistan, and just put a hit out on their prime minister, right? America's all over the world, man. Tell me this isn't the great whore. Tell me this isn't Babylon the Great, man. And they literally cannot keep at home. That's what whores do. Didn't not the Lord say in the book of Proverbs, right? Salakia, bear with me. Did not the Lord say in the book of Proverbs, Salakia, bear with me. Got to pull this precept through the spirit. It's the book of Proverbs, right? Salakia, bear with me. Chapter 7. And I'm going to start at verse number 12. Now is she without, now in the streets, and lieth in wait at every corner. That's what whores do, man. They lie in wait at every corner to catch men with an imputed eye. That's what America's doing. America's in all of these different nations for God knows what. To steal their oil, to steal their natural resources, to sneak them with bombs and attacks, right? To do God knows what, enforcing treaties and alliances and confederacies. America's everywhere, man. You did not know in 2022, this is literally the great horde that the Bible is speaking about, man, Babylon the Great. And literally it's coming out as the Syrian president, Bashar al-Assad, is saying that America got to get out of there, man. Right? It's getting out of control. Now, another thing that's going on, right? You got the so-called tomato flu, right? That's hitting the earth, right? Now we got the C, you know, we know what that is. We got the C, we got the 19, right? You also got the 8, pop, if you have ears to hear. You also got the tomato flu, man. You got all of these different plagues hitting the earth, man. Now, when has all of these plagues hit the earth? In the 80s, man. In the 70s, in the 40s, in the 1800s. This is how you know this is Egypt all over again, man. The Lord said, what happened in ancient Egypt? They sent a boil. You understand? Let me get this in the book of Revelation. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 16 and verse, right? Number 2. Now, in the spirit, you understand, these are talking about the bombs and the missiles, but nevertheless, it's double to that which is going into the plagues that were in ancient Egypt before. This is Revelation 16 and 2. And the first went and poured out his veil upon the earth, and there fell a noisome, grievous sore upon all men that had the mark of the beast, and upon them which worshipped his image. Now, this sword is talking about the nuclear missiles, but nevertheless, that sword is that same sword, those same plagues, that same understanding of ancient Egypt, man. Hey, the Lord turned the sea into blood in ancient Egypt. This whole place is going to be up to the horse's bridle in the day of the Lord. The Lord had the grievous sword before on a physical level. Now what's happening now, man? Everybody's getting sick. Everybody's in the hospitals. Everybody's closing down. Everybody's getting killed, man, and put in these hospitals and thrown in damn graves, man. This earth is finished. Babylon is finished, man. This earth is going to be destroyed. If you're not on fire in the last days, or beseeching to be on fire and praying and fasting, the Lord isn't going to deal with you, man. You have to be crying out for mercy in the last days by the Heavenly Father to obtain mercy, man. Right? Now let me get this quick precept. You also got, in world news, a drought in Britain, right? Water restrictions for millions of people. So you have a drought that's going on in Britain, huh? Now, when has there ever been water restrictions? When can you go outside and not be able to cut on your so-called hose, man? Imagine going in the morning and trying to pull the faucet and no water comes out. That's what's going on to thousands of people, so like millions of people in Britain. So you got to check the water. This place isn't even just going down on a nuclear warfare type of level. The economy with the US dollar is going down, right? The economy with the US dollar is flourishing, right? It's going down on a high level. You got the US so-called stock market. If you ever look at the stock markets, they're all crashing. Everything is crashing. The US dollar is going down. Inflation is rising. And then you got on the economic level, where all these different nations, they do trade. They make leagues and have alliances. You understand? And all of their alliances and their treaties are being broken, man. It's going to come to the round table where everybody understands, well, what does the U.S. have for us anymore, man? The military is going to be overthrown. The U.S. dollar is going down. Inflation is rising. Doing trade is going to start to come to an end. Because you have BRICS alliance. You understand? Certain alliances and confederacies that do economic trade, where they do trade with wool, with flax, with precious metals, with gold. You understand? There's certain things like that. And all of these things keep and fuel the economy. But it's going to come to a point where all of that comes down. Let me get this quick precept. Right? Salakia, bear with me. Come. Hold on. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 16, right? And verse, I'm going to start at verse number 9, right? I'm going to start at 5. Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? So when the Most High send these plagues on the earth, these plagues are going to withdraw themselves. They're only going to get stronger. You think they tried to stick you before and make things grievous for you before, and you lost your job, and you know, I'm contemplating, do I take it? And you're doing research, what's in this stuff that they're trying to stick it to you? Hey man, it's going to be 10 times more plagues on the earth. 10 times more pestilence. 10 times more violence, man. And these days are coming on the earth and they're already at hand. The Lord said this. And who may drive them away? May any man drive away a hungry lion in the wood, or may anyone quench the fire and stubble, and he that hath begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer, The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues. I'm going to read that again. The mighty Lord sendeth the plagues. Who in the ancient world, in the time of Amos, the 4th chapter, cut off all the water, that it didn't rain on the crops, man. That they were fleeing in one city and fleeing in another city so that they could be able to have crops and water, man. And the Lord did that, man. The Lord is going to cut off, whether it be on a physical level, the rain, whether it be the crops. And these farmers are starting to go out of business, man. A lot of these so-called chicken farms are starting to come up where all of these chickens are coming up dead, man. The Lord is doing that, man. The Lord is taking away the food and the staff for the bread, just like he did in Isaiah, the 3rd chapter, just like he did in Amos, the 4th chapter, just like he did in 2 Kings, the 6th chapter, just like he did in 2 Kings, the 7th chapter, just like he did it all over the Bible when he's cutting men off in the last days before judgment. It says this. It says, Salaki, may one turn again the arrow that is shot from a strong archer. Now, I want to get into something else real fast. And the U.S. just sent $775 million to Ukraine for armed forces. So U.S. is aiding Ukraine in armed forces, man. Now, last time I checked a resource, it said over 800 million. I checked another resource, it said 775 million, man. Right? And they've already sent billions of dollars for the war already. But when you go into the research, so-called America is trillions of dollars in debt. So something doesn't make sense. How are you trillions of dollars in debt, but yet have over $800 million to send to aid Ukraine and armed forces, man? This thing doesn't make any sense. The economy's crashing. They're in debt. They don't have anything. They're cutting their ties with all of these different nations that help fuel America and build it up, man. America doesn't yield off everything off of its soil alone. Like Africa, you have the emeralds, you have the diamonds, you understand? You have all of the sardius stones and the oils. You have certain other places like China. They did big in trade with plastic and metals and brass and things like that in clothing. And other so-called like India. India does trade. Now, India is one of the only confederacies and allies of America that's left on this earth. Russia hates America, you understand? China hates America. All of these different places, they hate America, man. Every last one of these confederacies is going to turn its back against America if they're not already doing that to this very day, man. Now, it says 77 million in armed forces to Ukraine. So Ukraine is on the bricks of war that's fighting. Now, America got its hand in Taiwan. America got its hand in Ukraine. America's already in war talks and already put forth to kill the prime minister, you understand, in Afghanistan. So America's on the Most High's wanted list, man. And this isn't a game. Hold the camera up. This isn't a game, right? It's on the Most High's most wanted list, right? And also in world news, you got cyber attacks by Russian hackers. So you got Russian hackers hacking all over the world, but chiefly in Ishmael, right? If I'm saying that right. Not Indonesia, but Ishmael, something like that. Can't pronounce it. But you got Russian hackers that's hacking on cyber attacks, man. So you got your internet being hijacked. And in 2017, off the coast of Florida, you had Russian spies that were right off the coast where people swimming down in Miami Beach, man. Having a blast, sipping some mojitos and having a damn martini, man. You got Russian spies and submarines on the bottom of the coast. So don't think that there are Russian spies and submarines under the coast. Don't think they're on above you in satellites. Don't think they're watching you. And you're a so-called civilian, and you could bounce those satellites off by going into Google, and you can see your mom mowing the grass and your father mowing the grass. You can see your damn so-called milkman delivering the milk on the satellite. You can see your so-called neighbor cheating on her husband, creeping out the back of the house. So don't think these high-profile generals and sergeants and leaders and prime ministers don't have intelligence that they're spying on America, man. They're trying to catch America when it's on its bed, like the scriptures say, to devour it completely. Let me get that in the book of 2nd Esdras. It's the book of 2nd Esdras, chapter 12, right, in verse number 25. For these are they that have accomplished his wickedness, and they shall finish his last end. And whereas thou saw that the great head appeared no more, That great head is America, man. Out of the midst of the three heads, the EU and Russians, which are the last ruling empires on the face of this earth. The great head is America, because the great empire was the Roman Empire. Out of the Roman Empire came America. And out of America and the Roman Empire came the 10 horns, which will be ruling alongside America. You understand, 1 hour with the beast, like it says in Revelation, the 17th chapter. But it says this, and whereas thou sawest the great head appear no more, it signifieth that one of them shall die upon his bed, yet with pain. Why does it say that America is prophesied to die upon a bed? What do you do upon a bed? You're relaxed, you have no cares, you're at ease, you're loafing, you're kicked back, you're you're vulnerable, you're relaxed, you're doing God knows what, and you're sleeping, man. Did not the Lord command his soldiers, you understand, his servants, his handmaids, his prophets to watch? Now, if you're not watching, what are you doing? You're sleeping, man. The Lord said, a little folding in the hands, and soon come poverty, man, and travaileth as an armed man, paraphrasing. So America's going to die upon his bed. And America is so bold. Did not the Lord say, travel not with a bold fellow in the book of Sirach? The Lord isn't dealing with a bold man. A bold man is going to strike hands. He's going to wage war. He's not going to think logically. He's not going to retreat. He's going to have those spirits on him to be bold and fight and go against God knows who, man. And that's how America is moving on the earth in the last days. Biden isn't backing down from nobody. So-called Donald Trump didn't, man. These Edomites, they can't ready for war, man. You have to understand, America's never been bombed. It's never been destroyed. You got the bombing of Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, but that was against us. America's never been touched. This is the virgin undefiled, the great whore that the Bible speaks of. So if you ever been outside or whatever case may be and get into a fight and you win that fight, get into another fight, then you win that fight. You spit on people and you walk over people and you push people out of a crowd and then you get over it. Nobody stops you. Then you're gonna start thinking you're invincible. Nothing can happen to you. That's how America is moving on the earth in the last days, man. They're traveling extremely bold and it's gonna come to the end, thus saith the Lord, man, right? Let me get this real quick. Let me go to the book of 2nd Esdras. Right, so like, bear with me. Chapter 15, right, and verse number 15. For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up to fight against another, and swords in their hands. For there shall be seditions among men, and invading one another. So that invading isn't always just the Capitol building storming, man. It isn't always a so-called white man with his white confederacies storming downtown, man. Right? Right where they had the $1 million man march, man. That's not always what that's talking about. You're gonna have seditions and invadings on a cyber level, security levels. You understand? Hiding out and doing God knows what in submarines and helicopters. Did not America fly over borders that were not theirs in their so-called jurisdiction? What happens when you're not in your jurisdiction? God knows what, man. You had the so-called woman basketball player, I believe her name is Brittany. I don't know her last name, but she went into Russian jurisdiction and now she's forgotten. She's locked up. They took that key, they bound that thing up and they threw that thing away, man. So when you're in somebody else's jurisdiction, you don't want to get locked up in Guantanamo Bay, man. You don't want to get locked up overseas because they don't care about you and your citizenship. That's why they beheaded Paul, because he was a Roman citizen. You understand? But they crucified Peter because Peter was born and raised in Jerusalem, huh? You understand? So you have certain people that may live in Tarshish, away. They have citizenship, which will grant them certain things in a society. But then you have other men that are not of that society that they don't care. Then you're going to have people that invade in that people's lands, and you're going to have seditions among nations and people. So if somebody invades you, you can do God knows what. You can arm up for war. Everything isn't going to be these soldiers are just doing drills. You got the African Union. They're doing drills for 2022, man, right? You got all of these systems. They're gearing up doing drills, man. You got the so-called China Army. They're doing drills. You got Russia, they're doing drills. You got America sitting there. The whole world is about to go to war. It's gearing up for the Battle of Armageddon and chiefly World War III, which is going to lead it to the day of the Lord, man. So if you're just sitting there thinking to yourself, this thing may not go down, I don't know, well, brother, scratching your neck, understand this, man. That just because it isn't an ICBM missile does not mean that plagues isn't on the earth. Salaki. Right? Doesn't mean that there aren't plagues on the earth, man. And bombs on the earth. So you have something called a warhead. You have something called a tank. You have something called the nuke. You have something called AK-47s, right? M16s, right? Lasers, right? All of these different guns and missiles and bombs that they use that are at a stature of an ICBM missile. You have China, you have the US, you have Russia, and you have India. Those are the empires or rulerships, rather, that have ICBM missiles, which can take out a state, 4 to 5 states at one time. So those are the nations that have nuclear warfare at a high level. And some sources would say France. You understand? But nevertheless, out of all those that I've named, India is the only ally of America. It's not an ally on a military level, but on an economic level. So when you back yourself up and look at the green so-called scheme of things, you got NATO, right? Then you got the EU. And you have the nations that are in NATO are majority the same nations that are in EU. But EU is prophesied to take down America. So what's going on? Meaning they're going to turn their back on the beast, man. They're going to turn their back on America. That's all throughout in Daniel, the 2nd chapter, verse 40 all the way down. That's in Revelation, the 17th chapter, man. For sake of time of quoting it and not pulling all these accounts, right? Let me get this one last one, right? And I'm going to close out. But I'm going to pull this and I'm going to get one last precept. For there shall be seditions among men, and invading one another, and they shall not regard their kings nor princes. That's not talking about, I mean, on a lower level it is, people not caring about Donald Trump and Joe Biden and they kick it down. It's talking about that. But on a deeper level, these kings aren't going to regard other kings anymore, right? They're not going to care that allegiances and alliances and confederacies they have. They're not going to care that they once were at peace. They're not going to care that you have an ICBM missile, because guess what? I got an ICBM missile. They're not going to regard their princes and their kings. They're going to evade them. Because in the end of the world and in the end of days, the Lord is going to place the spirit down upon man. It's going to be jacked up so high, you're going to have to know that they're possessed by evil demons, man, to be doing the things that they do and moving so boldly. It says what? And they shall not regard their kings nor their princes, and the course of their action shall stand in their power, right? Shall stand in their power. Let me get another. So I can bear with me. It's Revelation chapter 16, right? In verse number 13. And I saw 3 unclean spirits. Like 3 is a number of completion, like you read about all throughout the Bible. It says, working miracles, which goeth forth unto the kings of the earth and of the whole world, and gathered them together, so like you gather them to battle to the great day of the God Almighty. So you're gonna have 3 unclean spirits like frogs. Now those frogs, what do frogs do? They hop around. Frogs can't stay still, man. And if they are still, they're plotting to hop on that leaf right before them. So as these nations are still, predominantly right now, they're still hopping all over the earth, starting wars, pushing, getting pushed back, signing treaties, making leagues, creating a strong empire to go to war with these different nations, man. And the Lord said that the spirits of these unclean frogs are going to be in these kings. And it's going to cause them to run to and fro throughout the earth, causing all mischief. Just like it did in the time of Tobit and Asmodeus. Asmodeus got sent to the uttermost parts of Egypt where he is bound, meaning he's running to and fro. Just like the cherubim. You understand the book of Genesis, the 3rd chapter, 23 all the way down. That cherubim going to and fro as a flaming sword to keep men from the tree of life. You can't see it, you can't perceive it, but they're angels pan the camera and look at the skies. There are angels around us, man. Now you can't see the angels, right? You can't see Jacob's ladder, right? You only can perceive where the east is, right? If you're a scholar and can read the sun, the moon, you understand, and the stars. But nevertheless, you can look up and you can't see anything but clouds. But there are angels running to and fro throughout the earth, and evil angels at that, man, causing earthquakes, wildfires, storms, you understand, loopholes, tornadoes, blisters, plagues, and all type of flus and sicknesses of men to destroy them in the last days to fulfill prophecy. So if you're not on fire and you're not diligent and you're not keeping watch, then it's going to come on you like a thief as in the night, man. Let me get this last precept and close up. It's the book of Revelation, chapter 3 and verse number 2. Be watchful. So the Lord commanded man and women to be watchful, not to yield too much to your wife and yield too much to your husband and, oh, I got work in the morning, I'm tired, my back hurts, and I don't know if I can endure. And brother, nobody cares, man. The Lord doesn't care. The Lord doesn't care if you had a bad day, man. The Lord doesn't care if they're cutting hours at work. He's the one that cut your hours. He's the one that made your back hurt. He's the one that had a spirit in between you and your wife. He wants you to work harder and to endure and to push past that, man. And truly show who you are to the Most High. As a soldier predestined in his army. Keep watch and strengthen the things which remain that are ready to die, who have not found thy works perfect before Yahweh. Remember therefore how thou hast received and heard, and hold fast and repent. If therefore thou shalt not watch, I will come at thee as a thief, and thou shalt not know what hour I will come upon thee. So the Lord is saying plain upon tables, if you're not watching, the Lord's going to visit you like a thief in the night, blow your candlestick out, and appoint you your lot with the wicked. So continue to read, pray, and fast, be on fire in the last days, and continue to hold yourself to integrity and honor, you understand? And be on fire for the Lord, man. He laid down his life for you. You laid down your life for Yahweh Shem Yahushua. And with that, I'm going to give all honor and glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach, Malak Yahushua. Shalom.